Hey everybody, I'm standing here today with Shakespeare and I've got Wyatt right behind me, and look at this muddy mess. So one of the things that happens in the wintertime when you've got horses and mud is, in order for your horse to stay warm, their coats need to do this thing called paleo erection, which means that their coats need to be able to stand up straight off their bodies in order for their undercoat to function properly, to do what it needs to do. Now, the problem that we run into lots of times in the wintertime is when it is this muddy and the horses roll in this mud, the mud cakes into their coat, and then what happens is it becomes so mashed down because the mud is stuck all up in it that it can't function correctly. It can't stand up the right way. So what you have to do at that point is you have to take a curry comb and you have to go down the whole entire horse, and you've got to knock all that mud out so that they can actually, so that their coats can perform correctly. So what I do a lot of times in the wintertime, and this is a hack, is it takes quite a bit of time to get a curry comb all the way down this horse, okay? And then, multiply that times 3 horses. A curry comb is only the size of my hand, and I've got a whole horse here to deal with. So what I like to try to do is knock the worst of it off initially, and then I can go back through with my smaller brushes and combs. But when it's cold out and it's wet and you're standing here and you're trying to get through all this, an easy way that I have found to do this, and I've taught my horses to do this, is to just pick up one of these style rakes and literally just go through and get all that hard, clunky mud off your horses. It's also a great way of doing it because you don't have to breathe in all that dust and dirt the way you would with a curry comb, and it gets a much larger area of their body at one time, instead of trying to do it with a little tiny curry comb. It just saves a lot of time. It knocks off a lot of this excess dirt and dust and grime, and then you can go in with like a conditioner or something like that, and you can spray the areas that are more difficult to access and more clumpy, so to speak. That's a technical term there, clumpy. But I have found that this method works really, really well for getting the the really like bad spots off, and the bulk of the mess off of them. So it just works. It works well for my horses, but again, if you do not train your horses to be accustomed to things like this, this could terrify a horse. But I have taught my horses to not be terrified of anything that is in my hand, because it's just an extension of my body, and therefore, they trust my hands, so they trust what is in my hand. But you can see, just in that amount of time, I've kind of gone through and I've knocked all the real bad, ugly stuff off of him, the really, really, really thick mud, and it just saves time for me. It helps them. They enjoy it. They like, it's like me using a huge back scratcher on them, which, who doesn't love that? I wish I had somebody to sit there and use a big back scratcher. It's great. It's very relaxing for them. They enjoy it, and it cuts my work in a major way, because I'll be honest with you, when it is freezing cold outside and the wind is whipping and you're out here and your fingers are freezing, and even with gloves on and jackets and hats and everything else, it's not the most pleasant thing to have to do, to stand here and brush your horses. Of course, I do it because I need their coats to be functioning correctly. And I need the paleo erection to be happening, and that's not going to happen if their coats are so matted down with mud that they can't stand up and they can't function properly. So just in that little amount of time, we're at 4 minutes and 57 seconds here, you can see that that got a lot of the big chunky mud off of him. And then I can come in, and what I'm going to do now is I'll spray him down on these thicker areas with some it's called show sheen, or you could use coconut oil or whatever. So I'll spray these thicker spots with show sheen to kind of loosen them up a bit, because I can feel in here where there's some caked on mud. And I'm not going to bathe him right now because it's too cold out, but I'll spray a little conditioner on him. I'll take my curry comb in there, and then I'll be able to really get those areas cleaned out better. And obviously I'm not going to use the rake around his face. I will curry comb around that area as well. But yeah, I mean, this mud is just horrendous. And then Wyatt's over here. Let me see if I can make my way over to him. Oh my gosh, it's mud. I hate mud. Come here, buddy. So, you know, I can do the same thing with him. I haven't even touched him yet today with this at all, but he is full of mud. And I will continue this, but I'm going to stop for now because I'm standing downwind and I'm totally in the wrong spot because it's all blowing back in my face. So I'm going to get on the other side of him where I'm not downwind, and I will do, you know, I'll do the same thing with Wyatt and the same thing with True, and really any of these other horses down here who will let me do it. Some of them would be very afraid of this because they're not my horses and I haven't taught them. But there's Charlie over there by the wood pile. True is down there eating hay. So anyway, that's it for today, but just a little barn hack. These things come in really handy when you've got muddy horses. So, all right, take care, everybody.